Okay, just finished up playing Streetcar, and I don't think it had a name. Let's briefly talk about it a little bit. Component-wise, this version is not up to snuff with modern Euros. The board is a little bland and uninteresting. It works fine for me as a board. The only thing I wish is it's all modern stuff. So for example, the Superdome is in there. You know, to me, the age of streetcars and of laying track outside of, I'm sure cities still are laying light rails and stuff like that. But the age of streetcars and private streetcars that would be competing for routes or something is really a 19th century thing, not a 20th century thing. And the Superdome is very clearly not a 19th century thing. So I kind of would have liked, I don't know, a somewhat earlier flavor to the pieces, to the spaces on the board. Little plastic pieces, little boxes for the trains. Hey, they're functional. I found these little car stops a little too big. The trains work fine though. The tiles are very, very thin. Much cheaper quality than I guess you'd be used to if you're looking for a copy of this. These cards, however, are really sturdy, and this is kind of important, not that they're sturdy, but that they not get marked, ripped, whatever, because they are the secret of the game, right? The rules are very clear and very simple, although when I look on the discussion on Board Game Geek, some people, it sounds like, played, say, the dice rolling for movement without realizing that that's just a variant to the game. And some people seem to be of some other impressions about it, like that laying track, that you can just wreck other people's track without any problem. You really can't. You can only upgrade what's already there. So there's not that much chaos here in this. The big chaotic thing is that you can place your track anywhere you like. And that's kind of weird to 18xx players, that you don't have to connect it. You can just throw down a piece of track somewhere. That's key to the idea that nobody knows where anybody else is going or what their goals are. So you're kind of playing things towards what you want without trying not to really reveal it too early, because somebody will spend their blocking moves on you if they figure out what you're up to. I think the game actually works best in 2. I can't say that, definitively, but I think the less players involved, the more interesting the game is. I think 4 was probably too many, 5 is probably ridiculous. 6 would be downright dumb, because you can block anybody's gates and you're good. Of course, you can block anybody's gates in 2, but you might be wasting plays on them, so it's not that big a deal. They're terminal. The biggie is knowing that you're hurting someone by making a play. Then it becomes more worthwhile to maybe take that play. Now, in the 2-player game, once you figure out where your opponent's going or something he wants, diverting that is very, very valuable. The one thing that I see with the game, it seems to me that the choices of the locations on the cards tend to correspond, which means if you're playing a 3-player game, there's a good chance 2 of the players will be working together and 1 won't be. And that would be kind of an unbalance. In 2 players, if the 2 of you are working together, hey, that's fine. And if you're working apart, that's fine too. But if somebody's in kind of off on their own, they're not going to get the advantage of the other player's track lays. Of course, they might not get screwed as much either. Who knows? That may be a matter of the more experienced you are with this game, the more you can kind of guess what somebody's up to by their plays and be able to figure out, this is how I hurt them. There's also a limited number of these objective cards. Of course, there's 2 sets, but there's 6 objective cards and 6 starting terminals. that means you've only got 36 different possibilities, but your card has 6 of them, right? So you've immediately divided that, you've immediately reduced the other player's possibilities quite a bit by pulling your cards. So it's possible, I think, that one could learn and kind of memorize what the different picks might mean and be able to make assessments based on that. That's, to me, that's kind of a negative to the game, that there's this ability to learn that kind of thing. You might want to actually, although I think the game's been tremendously tailored to make sure that there's a high likelihood that everybody comes out at about the same time. It might be interesting to take it and randomize it even more, the starting positions. Say randomize entirely which locations you go to. If you've played this enough where that could be an issue. I don't think many people are going to play this that much. For me, it's a nice light Euro. It's on the lines that I like. But I don't think this is the kind of game like, say, a Tigris and Euphrates, where you're going to look at it and say, "Oh man, there's just so much here." There isn't. There isn't. It's a bluffing game and a placement game to try to build your route, but it's not. There isn't a lot of subtle play going on. The only subtlety is this trying to bluff the other players by your placements. And I don't think there's these tremendous strategies in play. You just have these routes to build. I also don't think that it has the same kind of replay as, say, a Carcassonne. This feels like it's a little heavier just in terms of requiring a little bit more focus on the game, a little bit more thinking, a little bit more effort. I'm not saying Carcassonne can't be played with that extra effort, but you've got to trace your routes. You've got to be aware of where you're heading and everything. And I think that's just a situation where you could very easily end up not feeling up to making that kind of thinking decision in your game as much. And something like Carcassonne, even if you don't feel like thinking too hard, it's pretty easy to say, yeah, I'll do that. But this is a game that falls kind of in between, in the sense that you're probably not, you're not going to be thinking the way you do in these optimization games. You're not going to be able to come up with the kind of clever strategies that you would in a Tigris and Euphrates, but on the other hand, it is a little bit more effort than the very lightest of Euros. But, all that said, I still like it a lot. I think I rated it about an 8 after playing it 2-player, but I think 2-player is far and away the best game that there is of it. Up it goes.